We throw the word research around all the time, but what does it actually mean? I'll give you a hint. It's not just for scientists in lab coats. Today, we're going to break down what research really is and show you how it's a powerful tool that, yeah, even you can use every single day.
So let's try a little experiment. When I say the word research, what's the very first image that pops into your head? Just take a second. What do you see?
I'm willing to bet that for a lot of you, it's something that looks an awful lot like this, right? The scientist, the white lab coat, maybe some bubbling beakers and complicated equipment. It's the classic image we've all seen in the movies a million times. It's the stereotype.
But hold on, what about this scene? Here's a restaurant manager, and she has a very real, very expensive problem. Her best staff keep quitting, and the regulars are starting to complain that the friendly vibe is gone. This is also the start of research.
So wait, what's the connection? How can a scientist in a lab and a manager in a busy restaurant possibly be doing the same thing? Well, it all comes down to one simple idea: having a system to find answers. At its core, this is what we're talking about. Now, don't let the formal definitions scare you. The magic words here are organized and systematic. That's the secret sauce. It just means you're not making random guesses or just going with a gut feeling. It means you have a deliberate process to tackle a specific problem and find a real solution. And that process is really grounded in the scientific method, which, again, sounds way more complicated than it is. It really just boils down to a few common sense rules. It means your hunt for answers has to be based on actual evidence, stuff you can observe. It means other people have to be able to check your work, and you're not starting from scratch. You're building on what we already know, all while trying to be as objective as humanly possible. So to think like a researcher, you need a few specific mental tools. Let's go ahead and open up that toolkit and see what's inside.
One of the most important tools is something called the ladder of abstraction. At the very bottom, you've got reality, like a specific banana that you can peel and eat. Climb up a step, and you get the more abstract concept of fruit. Go up another level, and you get the even broader concept of vegetation. Good research is all about being able to move up and down this ladder, connecting those concrete, real-world observations to bigger, more abstract ideas.
This brings us to a super important distinction: the difference between a concept and a variable. A concept is the big, abstract idea, like job commitment for our restaurant manager. You can't just measure commitment with a ruler, right? So you have to turn it into a variable, something you can measure. This could be the number of sick days taken, or a score on a satisfaction survey. The concept is the what, the variable is the how much.
Okay, so once you have your variables, now you can form a hypothesis. And listen, a hypothesis is way more than just a guess. It's a logical, educated prediction about how those variables are related to each other. And the most important part, it has to be something you can actually test. Here's a perfect example. The higher the level of job commitment of the officers, the lower their level of absenteeism. See how clear that is? It's specific. It proposes a direct relationship between two things we can measure: commitment and attendance. It's totally testable. So we have the tools. Now what? How do we put them all together into a working plan? Let's take a look at the actual blueprint for making a discovery. First off, research isn't one size fits all. Your approach totally changes depending on what you want to find out. If you're just dipping your toes in, asking, what is even happening here? That's exploratory research. If you want to paint a really detailed picture of a situation, asking, what does this look like? That's descriptive. And if you're trying to find the root cause, the big, why is this happening? Well, now you're doing explanatory research.
But here's something you have to understand. This process isn't some simple step-by-step checklist you just follow from A to Z. It is definitely not a straight line.
It's actually a continuous cycle. See how theory and logic are right there in the middle? You start with a question, you figure out a way to test it, and your findings circle right back around to inform our bigger understanding, which, you guessed it, almost always sparks brand new questions. We can simplify that big circle into these key stages. First, you have to clearly define the problem. Then, you design your study. After that, you collect and analyze your data. You test your original hypothesis, and finally, you report what you found. Each step flows logically right into the next, keeping that engine of discovery running. Okay, so that's the framework. But why does any of this matter if you're not in a lab or at a university? How does this actually apply to the real world? Here it is. At its very core, good research reduces uncertainty. That is its superpower. It replaces guesswork and I think maybes with solid information. And that allows for much better, more informed decision-making.
It helps all of us see the entire problem, not just the tip of the iceberg, so we can actually stand a chance of solving it.
Of course, you can't talk about the power of research without talking about the rules of the road, ethics. This means being honest about what you're studying, getting consent from anyone involved, and, this is a big one, protecting their privacy and confidentiality. Powerful tools demand powerful responsibilities.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Research isn't just a job for a handful of scientists. It's a powerful way of thinking. It's a structured approach that absolutely anyone can use to move from a place of confusion and uncertainty to one of genuine understanding.
And that brings me to one final thought I want to leave with you. Think about your work, your community, your own life. What problem is just sitting there, right in front of you, waiting for someone, maybe you, to ask a better question?